Hello and welcome to this here episode of the Lore Library, where I provide you with some digestible tidbits of D&D lore to utilise in your own D&D campaigns and stories. Today we're going to dive into the faction known as the Harpers from the Forgotten Realms. So, who are they? What do they stand for? How do they influence the realms of Faerûn? Well, the Harpers, also known as those who harp, are a sort of semi-secret organisation dedicated to preserving historical lore, keeping the balance between nature, civilization, and defending the innocent from across the realms. Defending the innocent from evil, that is, from across the realms. So, over the years, their influence has waxed and waned, marked by a series of collapses and then reformations, and their reputation tends to vary. They're seen by some as idealistic heroes and by others as meddlesome intruders. The Harper Code consists of a simple but profoundly challenging set of principles, and initially these principles were expressed through what were called watchwords in the ritual of recognition, as they called it. But in the late 15th century DR, which for context, round now in the D&D timeline, the Forgotten Realms timeline, as it's presented by Wizards of the Coast. So, in the grand scheme of things, only a few years ago, based off of the current D&D timeline, the code was finally written down for new members to swear oaths upon, and also for them to keep as a reminder. So, the Code of the Harpers, or the Harper Code, was as follows. The Harpers work against villainy and wickedness wherever they find it, but they work ever mindful of the consequences of what they do. Number 2. All beings should walk free of fear, with the right to live their lives as they wish. Number 3. The rule of law aids peace and fosters freedom, so long as the laws are just and those who enforce them lenient and understanding. Number 4. No extreme is good. For freedom to flourish, all must be in balance. The powers of realms, the reaches of the cities, and the worldlands into each other, and the influence of one being over another. Number 5. Whatever it takes, a harper will do. Pride never rules the deeds of a true harper. Number 6. The harpers can spare themselves less freedom than those they work to protect must have, but even a harper must be free. Number 7. Harpers police their own. A harper who hears the call of personal power can no longer hear the sweet song of the harp. A harper who seizes power and holds it above all else is a traitor to the harp. Traitors must die for freedom to live. And finally, without a past, no being can appreciate what they have and where they may be going. So in essence then, the Harper's mission is to oppose tyranny and evil, protect the oppressed, maintain freedom, peace and order, and support fair and just laws, and to ensure balance. They do whatever is necessary, no matter the cost or the risk, to maintain those very important ideals. The Harpers will operate discreetly, using knowledge and influence rather than brute force. They maintain the balance between civilization and nature by keeping kingdoms small and also preserving wildlife. And they share their knowledge with common folk through music, stories and songs, hence the Harpers, often embedding secret messages to communicate with their allies. So Harpers will often work alone, or at least in small groups. Their senior members, known as spy masters, guide young adventurers, Harper protégés if you will, and handlers then act as intermediaries in perilous areas. Many agents then go on to lead double lives, gathering information whilst going about their daily business. And importantly, Harpers are allowed to pursue personal interests, They're kind of semi-creative folk after all. But it's important that any interests that they do pursue must align with the Harper's Code. So throughout the history then, the Harper Code has influenced the laws of many cities. Whether seen as heroes or meddlers, their legacy of fighting for balance, freedom and knowledge endures to this day, at least as it currently sits with the official D&D timeline and canon for the Forgotten Realms. So, that's a nice simple overview of the Harpers, who they are and what they stand for, and also how they operate in the Forgotten Realms. So thank you for joining this episode of the Lore Library. We'll be covering more information on the various factions in coming episodes. But until next time, may all your dice rolls be 20s.